Yes, even this version of Superman, Superman and Lois from the TV show, has comics with their sons. That's technically a part of the same universe. And believe it or not, he's actually met Lobo. I wish they would have showed this in live action though, but that's none of my business. They even bring up similar events that happened in the show of him meeting his brother. Similar to how the live action version's early days was wearing this outfit, the comics pretty much reference this whole idea as well. I think they do this just for those that have their doubts that this is the same universe as the live action. This is something we need to see more of in live action when it comes to Superman. We need to see more Superman not being scared to show off super speed punches. When you think of the poster boy of when it comes to hearing the word superhero, you think of Superman. One can say the living embodiment of hope. He originated from the comic books. But today, I'm not going to be going over the comic version, but rather a live action version of him. This gets a bit tricky because we actually seen this same actor appear in crossovers with Supergirl, Flash, and all the other characters in the so-called CW Arrowverse. But it's implied that the one I'm going over today isn't a part of this universe at all. And also the outfit differences is quite clear. But I'm pretty sure by the end of this video, you're going to agree that this version of him is stronger than this version that we saw on Supergirl and CW anyway. From the Superman and Lois show, even though they have the same actors, it's not the same version of Superman that we saw crossover with the Arrow and Flash and stuff. Their versions of Lex even has a different actor. You see what I mean? Before I start going over his raw strength and stuff, I would like to say that this Superman technically went through some evolutions. One could say he's been Superman a while. He has some experience being Superman, developing his powers, getting experience over the years, getting stronger. He's gotten stronger since he was a little boy, and even when he was little, he had super strength. Like having fun with toys and throwing his toys so hard that it actually goes through a piece of the house. Just to give you an idea of the evolution or progress he's made throughout the years. This, for example, was during his younger days. He was strong enough to do this to a gun. And for example, even while he was young, he had the fighting speed to swat bullets out of the air. Because even when he got hit with kryptonite here and was able to basically intimidate these beings, even though he got shot with kryptonite. One of the few things I did not like about the Smallville series version of Superman. Get that kryptonite crap out of here. Don't you love how when people spam kryptonite against Superman here, he still gets his super strength to where he can still bend steel and can still fight back and combat against it, and he's not depowered instantly? I love this. There's an astronomical gap between him and humans to where humans can't even make him flinch. Telescopic vision to zoom in. X-ray vision. Being in space doesn't phase Superman, just like comics. When there's big avalanches about to mess up this whole city or town, he can do ice breath to counter it. One can say it's blast power. He's strong enough to lift all these pillars like nothing. You see him lifting up stuff like this is light work. You can't be a Superman person and not have a feat of lifting a car. So yeah, he can lift cars, things that weigh at least a ton. Of course, feats like this is just the tip of the iceberg. Lifting cars is light work for somebody in his godly tier. Another day in the life. Okay, this has got to be the most hilarious feat right here. Him putting a car on top of a canyon to where they're basically stranded. Yo, Superman, this is funny, bruh. You got trees he can lift. Oh, what do you know? Another vehicle he can stop. Helicopter lifting is lightweight for his strength. This occasion is implied he helped move a plane, but he also lifted a big chunk of ice up. That's pretty massive. I had to make a guesstimation. This has to be at least a few hundred tons. Wouldn't you agree? Based on the way you see the way he looks compared to this big old chunk of ice. And it's one of those feats that also seems to be casual, nowhere near his limit. So super large chunks of ice, that's easily over hundreds of tons he can lift with ease. Also implying nowhere near his limit and can lift stuff like this. Your opinions are more than welcome on how much weight this is, though. You got this situation with the crane, this heavy, casually. Yeah, all that he's holding. Heroic acts on a new Superman assisting in a shuttle launch, for example. And we already have feats proving that he can lift at least 2,000 tons, and we just getting started. Because when you look at the news, they show him assisting in the shuttle launch. It doesn't stop there. He also has heroic deeds of saving this stack, for example, with his strength. One could say his flight speed can kind of help his power output because he can kind of ram you at crazy speeds, like how he's flying in the opposite direction of this ship, for example, to slow it down, then push the ship in the opposite direction. Flight power, one can say. This tower that's fallen, he can stop it. I haven't really started talking about his punching power, but obvious with all his strength, he has punching power. But I'll get to this more later on, though. When you have enough super strength, it comes in handy to where you can just smash your hands together, make a huge blast or shock wave from far away. We've seen him thunderclap more than once. There was this train that was about to be derailed. One could say this is a fighting speed feat too, because he did this in slow motion. He did all this in the blink of an eye, basically, to put the train back on its tracks. The great thing about DC Comics is that there's a lot of places in their world that's similar to our world, along with a lot of the same landmarks, mountains, or even actual bridges that exist in real life exist in DC. This can kind of help us get an estimate on his powers, considering he has to interact with these things. There was this bridge that exists in real life, this You can see for yourself that this bridge is massive and it was crumbling. This also backs up the 2,000-ton thing. This thing has to weigh over hundreds and hundreds of tons. And he did this with ease at one point, holding it with one hand at one point. Like you see all this he's lifting up. Superman can even lift 3,000 tons because there was this submarine that Superman lifted in this scene. And, you know, Superman lifted this heavy crap up. The weight didn't seem to matter. And look how long it is. Are you really shocked that he can lift 3,700 tons with ease? Well, he does have strength out of this world. This appears that he looks like he's lifting an oil tanker. Oil tankers is one of those things that vary in weight. But yeah, some of these can go from 75,000 tons to 120,000 tons, even up to 320,000 tons. Meaning he can lift upwards of over 100,000 tons. Being able to lift this kind of weight, how hard do you think his punches would feel? Without even counting his raw flight speed helping his kinetic energy or punching power, he can at least punch with hundreds of thousands of tons of force as a bare minimum. When this lady was dying, of course, the explosion parted a big chunk of the clouds, and Superman was literally point blank next to that, and it shook the buildings. Like, he's literally holding the person that caused that. We know Superman's punches are strong enough to hurt himself. We know his punches and etc. can tremble a city block or level a city block if he had to with his punches as well, as a bare minimum, right? Don't judge me. I wish Steel's outfit looked something like this. Oh yeah, but let me not get on that. Steel, somebody that's powerful in the show because of his battle suit. Whatever he can do, Superman should be able to do because Superman can handle Steel, the concept of strength compared to his own strength. I mean, we've literally seen Superman overpower Steel, and we've seen this is what Steel's hammer can do to a big old cave. Look like a big part of the mountain got blew up. Yeah, I know mountains vary in size. Even the biggest buildings are not ready for some of the smaller mountains. But I think feats like this kind of imply they could level a mountain or smaller mountains, you know, with their strikes or something. But he also has fighting speed. He can use his travel speed in combat in conjunction with his hands being able to move ridiculously fast. Occasions like this is clear of his fighting speed. He can use it in combat and is not afraid to use it in combat. Everybody's in slow motion when it comes to his speed. Because his reflexes are so high, everybody else is slow motion when it comes to him reacting to blitzes and stuff and beings on his level. Superman has a son in Superman and Lois, the show, that has superpowers as well. When it comes to his abilities, he's not as good as Superman. He's a noob, so one can argue, which is a very good argument, whatever he can do when it comes to anything, physical strength and speed, Superman can do better. This is impressive considering we've actually seen him dodge some lasers. As you can see right there, dodged them here. And they are, in fact, actual lasers because it's stated.
Enough with the sucker punch lasers.
This alone applies light speed, fighting speed, or reaction time, reflexes to react to lasers. You know, one can say his fighting speed on top of his strength is the reason why he can hit so hard. But other things other than just punching fast, he can fly in straight line speed fashion really fast. Like I'm talking about just flying from point A to point B in a straight line speed, just flying ridiculous distances fast. One could say he could technically use this in combat and hit hard with this kind of speed too, because he can fly in a straight line real fast. A great way to understand his speed is to look at the times we've seen him fly from Earth to the sun. Like we can kind of get an idea of his speed on situations like this when he flies being close to the sun. Like, it's definitely one of them situations where it's not instant flight. And he doesn't fly, like, all the way up to the sun, but close enough to where it looked like he at least passed planets like Venus to get closer. Like, Venus is definitely closer to the sun than the Earth. So even if you don't want to say he was all the way up here, the fact that he even flew this far is impressive when it comes to raw speed. I want you guys to remember that it takes light 6 minutes to get to Venus. I mean, it's not like they told us the exact time period, but it looked like less than 3 minutes. When you see him fly. Pat, you see that planet back there? Yeah, that's got to be less than 3 minutes. This is actually faster than the speed of light type speeds. Confirmed. YouTubers that are really good at calculations have calculated how it would be like if you was to get punched at 99% the speed of light. If we assume this version of Superman can really move at least light speed or close to the speed of light off default without even counting his muscles or lifting strength or things of that such, him just being able to ram into you at crazy speeds, he should be at a bare minimum be able to level a city just by ramming it to you at close to light speed or 99% speed of light or light speed itself. He should be at least able to hit you with enough force to pretty much wipe out a city with one shot if he needed. In short, his hits should feel like a nuclear freaking bomb if we detect that he can ram into you at that speed if he's not holding back. Seriously, if we to take that seriously, he should be able to level a city with one blow. I'm not even talking about his muscles or nothing, but just from raw speed. If he was to fly with these speeds in a straight line and he was to ram into something like this, all of this would be smithereens. Just from all the kinetic energy you can build just from flying freaking fast. Beings that Superman has to fight like Bizarro, this universe's version of Bizarro is strong enough to compete against Superman, of course. Just in case you needed proof that Superman can match beings like Bizarro in punching power and strength, and it's consistent, throughout this season of him being able to match him in slugfest or blows. And this is without even building up momentum, y'all. Just blunt punches standing in place. There's implications that Bizarro and Superman's punches can tremble an entire town, or one can say a city, with their punches, because there was an earthquake in the whole town of Smallville. It was shaking everything. Yeah, everywhere was affected from Bizarro's punches. Stuff was about to fall over, yeah, from his punches, because he was in the mines punching. And it's confirmed that these mines that he's punching from, the distance between these mines and Smallville,
about 2 miles out.
So we know a bare minimum distance between Smallville and these mines is at least 2 miles, probably more, but that's a bare minimum. So his punches Bizarro was producing was right here. His punches was being felt miles and miles out. Punches that's generating this much energy being this deep under here. Yet people can feel the impact of his blows. And Superman can match him in strength, guys. You know what that means? That means if Superman wanted to, he can create town-sized earthquakes if he wished as well, generating that much force with his punches. Beings that are miles away can feel the shockwave of your raw power. Deep under mines. And this Superman has to match this being throughout this whole season. Well, technically, he has to fight an even better version of Bizarro when he becomes Doomsday. In his base state. Whatever he can do like this version of him can do better, and Tyler's Superman still can battle him. You guys know the classic comic lore about Superman getting empowered by the sun itself. And in comics, when he actually flies within the sun, they call him sun-dipped. When he actually flies in the sun, gets sun-dipped, he gets like significantly more powerful than he usually will be. One could say temporary power-up, one could say. This same concept exists in Tyler's Superman, the CW Superman from Superman and Lois. You know, you got his base state. Majority of the stuff I've showed you in this video was his base state, going faster than the speed of light, all that stuff, base state. But what if I told you everything he can do before, he can do better like this? He's sun-dipped. And this is when you see him even pull off even greater feats of power. There was literally 2 worlds about to collide. Yeah, this Earth is like square. Yeah, don't ask. Like, bro really went inside the sun. This is probably the strongest he's been in this whole show, being sun-dipped this much. Like, when we say merging of 2 worlds, we mean merging of 2 worlds. People were literally glitching and crap. Like, these worlds were so close to each other, you can literally visually see the other world. He was literally flying between the circle world and the square world, flying from planet to planet. Supercharged. The square world and the circle world was like literally merging, literally. So everything he could previously do, his striking power like this, is way on another level. Because beings that would give him trouble when it was merged with their other versions of themselves are nothing to him now. One could say a combination of his flight speed. Like this, he's probably way faster than the speed of light. For sure. At least speed of light right here. Undid the merging of the 2 freaking worlds with the energy he was producing. Like when he does this right here and lands, it appears that all the energy that was stored up inside of him erupted. You can see it coming off of him to where the energy release kept expanding so wide that you can see his explosion on this planet from freaking space. Like this radius looks like it was the size of a freaking continent. And the explosion just keeps getting worse and does this. And the planets were unmerged again, miraculously. The power level he was at like this, he could definitely level continents, tremble them, affect them. And this is actually disrespectful. I mean, some of this was vague, but he literally stopped 2 planets from merging with one another. His energy he was producing separated them somehow, even though they was literally merging and glitching together. So I would definitely say having the might to push 2 planets apart with his flight energy or energy output, I think this definitely confirms like this. He could have blew apart the moon if he wanted to with his punching power if he wished. The energy he was producing was able to move 2 planets this big. When you look at the size of the Earth compared to the size of the moon, he would definitely be able to punch and move a planet like the moon if he wished, if he can move 2 Earth-sized planets away from each other or unmerge them with the energy he's producing. One could argue like this, he could have leveled the entire planet Earth itself and caused Earth destruction if he wanted to. In this state. How strong do you think he was in this state? I want to hear your thoughts below. He probably was more than likely a planet buster like this. I mean, you could theorize he has enough speed and power in his base form he could do this. One can argue that. We just haven't seen him do anything close to this when he's not amped up. What do you think? Do you think Tyler could blow up the whole Earth sun-dip with his punching power or flight speed and everything put together, punching it, ramming into it at crazy speeds, at light speed? I definitely think that's in the realm of possibility. What are your thoughts though? But everybody, that's just about going to do it. I hope you enjoyed. Did you guys know Tyler's Superman was this strong? You probably did. He's pretty decently strong, especially when Sun did. He can push 2 planets away with his raw speed or whatever energy he generated to unmerge planets, like implied to be possibly a planet buster. You know what I mean? But before I get going, gotta say thanks for the donations, everybody. Helps out a lot. Respect Tyler's Superman. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.